STEM science.
This is the lesson for February 20th, 2018.
Hey everybody, Mr. Takahashi here. We've been looking through your ideas for your passion projects and they look great. Some of your ideas have you looking at space and the planets. We've got baking and cooking ideas. Some of you will be building things and certain structures. We have some students creating books or blogs. Others of you are choosing to do some programming or game design. And some of you are looking back to the past for old structures, ancient cities. So the challenge is, how can science connect to all of these different topics and projects? Well, science can connect to all of these different topics in many different ways. And one of the ways that we're going to specifically look at over the next few days is the carbon footprint. What is a carbon footprint? Basically, a carbon footprint is any type of activity that directly or indirectly produces carbon dioxide. So what is carbon dioxide? Let us take a look at some of the physical properties of carbon dioxide, shall we? Qualitatively, carbon dioxide is colorless, odorless, and exists as a gas at room temperature. It also has the ability to trap and retain heat. This is going to be an important thing for us to remember later. Quantitatively, carbon dioxide has a mass of about 44.01 grams per mole. Now, don't worry about the mole thing, but just see here that it actually has a greater mass than oxygen. The density of carbon dioxide is 1.98 kilograms per meters cubed, understanding that that's occurring at a standard temperature and pressure. But that means it's more dense than air. Those two things are very important. Okay, so we have an idea of what carbon dioxide is. So how does that connect to the carbon footprint? Now, carbon dioxide can be produced in a number of different ways, in a number of different processes, but we can start to group them up into three main types. Cellular respiration. Basically, every time we breathe out carbon dioxide. It's part of cellular respiration. We breathe in oxygen and we use it to basically help support metabolism, and the byproduct or the waste product is carbon dioxide. So think about that. You just sitting there watching this video and breathing out, you're releasing carbon dioxide into the air. You are a source of carbon dioxide. That is part of your carbon footprint. Multiply that by 7 billion people. The number of people on the earth right now, all breathing out, it's a lot of carbon dioxide. Decomposing or rotting living material, such as dead organisms breaking down, that releases carbon dioxide. So composts at home, when you have leaves that have fallen off your trees and they start to break down, when you throw out scraps of food, when you cut down trees and the trees are just sort of left to sort of decompose on their own, all of that stuff releases carbon dioxide. And again, it may not be a big deal in your own backyard, but you multiply that across all of the different backyards around the earth and all of the different yards and all of the different compost bins, that adds up. Finally, burning fossil fuels, that releases carbon dioxide. So think about it, brush fires, electrical power plants that burn coal to produce electricity, and the exhaust that comes out of your car. All of those things involve the burning of a fuel, and in doing so, you release carbon dioxide. And again, you multiply that by the 7 billion people and all the different activities that require the burning of fuel. That is another huge source of carbon dioxide. And again, that adds to this carbon footprint that we keep talking about. Don't forget, the carbon footprint also includes things that indirectly produce carbon dioxide as a result of those activities. For example, you might think, well, I've got a tablet here. I'm not burning this, and I'm certainly not making this rot. So how would something like this have a carbon footprint? Well, when you consider all the things and all the different materials that went into building this thing and to supporting it, that also adds to this device's carbon footprint. For example, this tablet was not made in London, Ontario. In fact, it wasn't even made in North America. This was made overseas in China. And as a result, this thing had to be shipped across an ocean to get here to London, Ontario. That involves the burning of fuel, and that is part of this device's carbon footprint. think about the factory where this was made. That factory just didn't pop out of nowhere. It had to be built. And that factory involved probably the burning of fuels to power the machines that cleared the land, that then allowed for the cement trucks to come in and pour the foundations of the building that built this. That is also part of this device's carbon footprint. Ah, yes. Don't forget to plug it in. You need to charge that thing, right? So, again, don't forget, this is also part of its carbon footprint. The electricity had to come from somewhere, and all of the different resources that went into producing that electricity, that went into creating the actual power plant, that created the electricity that gets shipped over to here, all of those things have a carbon footprint. And yes, that also gets downloaded to this device. All right, so we've just covered what a carbon footprint is, and we've even talked a little bit about carbon dioxide gas. Next, what I want you to do is go back into Google Classroom and take a look at the notes that I've posted there, because I want you to include those in your own notebooks and have a good grasp about this thing called a carbon footprint. Because after this, the other thing I want you to think about is go back to your passion projects. And I want you to really think about the thing that you're undertaking for your passion project. And I want you to be able to express to me the carbon footprint of your particular passion project. What kind of carbon footprint and what are the sources of that carbon footprint for your particular passion project? Well, that's it. Good luck. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.